Buenos dias, Brooklyn. ¿Cómo fue tu miércoles? Buenos dias, Brooklyn. How was your Wednesday? Good. Pretty quiet. Pretty quiet. See? Kind of how I like them. Do you have plans this weekend? Very nice. That's good. That's kind of relaxing for some people. Yeah. So, Brooklyn, pretty soon here, you will have officially completed your first quarter at virtual school. So, what are you thinking? What do you think? Good? Yeah? Very good. So, you think you made the right transfer move? Well, that's great news. That makes me happy. I'm glad to hear that. Feliz jueves, Marlena. How are you today? Good. How was your day yesterday? Oh, the best, right? That's the best. I haven't had one of those in years, Malaysia. Something like 25 years. Yeah, or more. Good morning, Jamarian. ¿Cómo estás? Yang? So, you guys, I hope you had a good Wednesday. Behind me is just, oh, I don't know, just some questions for y'all to think about in your head, right? Get ready for the next one. Okay. Um, if you have any ideas for this question here, just pop them in the chat if you think you want to share out. Let's see if I can get Malia logged in here. Because we have some things to do today. Rashad's on his way. Good morning, Arshad. Hey guys, we need cameras this morning as usual. So if you see me go down this morning, it's because I think my chair is finally giving it up. I hope not. But anyway, all righty. So I hope y'all had a good day yesterday. We have a pretty important lesson today. We're going to continue to graduate, right, to go build our levels in Spanish. And we've been practicing with direct object pronouns, and you guys did those like fantastic, like you've known them all along. Well, today what we're going to look at instead are what they call indirect object pronouns. Okay, so if you guys can meet me in Canvas real quick, and I'll show you where we need to be. I want us to sort of not rush today, you know, so all righty, head on over to the modules. All right, so meet me in our unit, right, which is unit 4, and kind of scroll down to where you see indirect object pronouns. Jamarian, are we in module 4, Arshad? Yeah, here comes Malia. Oh, Brooklyn beat me to it. Buenos dias, Malia. So Malia, we are in Canvas in our module. This will be the last thing we do, you guys, in this module. So yay for us, right? Okay. So when you get to our module, I'm going to share my screen just so that we all know we're all on the same page. Like I say, I don't want to rush with this today. I'd like us to kind of laze around it. Okay, just take our time. So, you know, we're in Desafío 3, right? Goal, challenge, number 3, whatever. And then just kind of scroll down here to the indirect object pronouns. And you guys are going to see some guided notes. Now, the first thing you guys probably notice is that these guided notes are a little different because there's a practice attached to them. And so they're worth 34 points, right, you guys? So let's try not to work ahead or whatever, you know, and let's just kind of try to work together. And then you'll have time to do the practice. Okay, does that make sense to everyone, clase? Yeah, so these are a little more than a guide than just guided notes, but unfortunately they're 34 points because if you do something for a point apiece, then they kind of get to be a lot. Okay, so click on that thing, decide how you want to work on it. It should look like this. You can work on it in Canvas. You can try and download a PDF. You can see if it'll open in Cami, whatever your preference is. You all right, Joe Marion? Okay. Right, so it should look like this. And before we actually get into anything, I just want to kind of give us a way to connect what these are in English, right? It's like we generally do. And like I said, I'm so glad that this is going to be our last section here in this unit. Okay. All right, Malaysia, you're good to go. Arshad, how about you? All right, Joe's getting there. Okay, Malia, yep. Okay. All right. So as long as you have that up, you guys, just, hang out there for a second, right? I'm going to try to use this new whiteboard. So bear with me here. Okay. All right. So before we do anything on those guided notes, okay, let's just try to do some things in English. So we said that, for example, you guys are going to have to bear with me on this thing. So I have a dog. Okay. And our action is having, right? And dog is the thing being had. So I have it, right? In English is our direct object. That's what we have been practicing, right? The direct object directly, that's why they call it that, okay, receives the action of the verb. Okay. And so that's what we've been practicing all along here, last couple of weeks or whatever. It's been a week or so. Okay. All right. Can y'all see this whiteboard? Okay. Since it's a new thing for me. Yeah. Okay. So logic would tell us then, right, you guys, that if we're going to start talking about indirect objects, okay, that an indirect object is a thing or a person, okay, that indirectly receives the action of the verb. Okay, that's kind of what logic tells us. So we have a couple of clues that we can use, okay? And so in English, let's just say it's the words to and the word for, okay? And that's going to hold true in Spanish as well. So let's think of an example in English. Let's say I gave the card to Mary. Are y'all with me here? Yes? Okay. I gave the card to Mary. So real quick, you guys, I gave the card to Mary. What is the direct object? In other words, what is the thing that's being given? What's the thing that's being given? You can unmute. There's only 5 of us. Yeah, very good, Malaysia. The card, right? Very good, Brooklyn. The card is the thing being given, right? So if we wanted to replace in English that with a direct object, we could say, I gave it to Mary. Okay. So based on what I said about an indirect object, okay, who is receiving that action indirectly? In other words, what's the next next step? What is the next thing that's happening based on the verb? Who is receiving the action of the verb indirectly? Make a guess.
Is it Mary?
Mary, absolutely. Okay. So remember, you guys, look up here real quick. Ready, Brooklyn? Arshad? Yeah, Joe Marion? So our clues for indirect objects are the words to and the word for. Okay. And it is generally a person that indirectly receives the action of the verb. It can be a thing as well. Okay. But let's just focus on people for the moment. So I gave the card to Mary. I gave it to Mary. So directly, we're talking about the card being given, right? And then who is getting in this, you guys, who is getting? It's Mary. So we can say I gave it to Mary, or we can say I gave it to her. Isn't that right, you guys? That's what we do in English, right? And so our her in English is our indirect object pronoun. It replaced Mary. Y'all follow me here? Yes? So if you think about it, like in this case, the action, the verb, right, gave, is doing two things, right? It's acting on the card because it's the thing being given directly, right? And then, well, it's given, so where's it going? To Mary. And so the action again influences what happens or affects what happens, and it's giving it to her, right? So there's like double action happening here. Okay, does that make sense to everybody in English? Yeah. Okay, so our job now is to try to do it in Spanish. Okay, so that's where we're headed, just kind of so you know. All righty. All right, I'm going to stop sharing so I can get myself organized here. I had it lined up. Oh, let's get them student. Here we go. Come on, computer. Be my friend today. Okay. Now, you guys know the drill, right? If I go too fast or if I go too slow, kind of let me know, speak up, okay? All right, so give me a thumbs up if y'all can see my screen. No, okay. All right, so these slides here, you guys, should kind of coincide with your guided notes, okay? So if they don't, or if you have a question or something, let me know. Let me open this with this slide, it'll be easier. Come on. Okay. Okay. All right. So what is the indirect object? The indirect object tells to whom or for whom the action is being performed, right? So in other words, the action of giving the card to Mary, okay, tells us to whom the card was given. Okay. So once again, you guys, the clues for us are the words to or for. Okay. So Anna gives the book to Juan, right? The direct object is the book, and then to Juan is our indirect object, right? So Anna gives Juan the book, however the sentence may be organized is the point here. So what we mean to say is, like, you're not the words to or for, you may not actually see the word in the sentence. It's something that's understood. like in the second one, Anna gives Juan the book, right? Who'd she give it to? Juan. So even though you don't have the actual word to in the sentence, it's understood based on the sentence. Does that make sense, you guys? Yeah. So we need to be able to parse through that. Okay. And remember that we're not always going to see the words to or for. Okay. But it needs to be understood. You give the book to Juan, right? Anna gives Juan the book. That's just one of the weird things about English, right, you guys? Okay. Again, in your notes, the indirect object pronoun is when in English you replace the words with me, you, it. Remember, so it can be a thing, her, him, us, or them. Okay, so an indirect object pronoun can be replaced by for a person or a thing. So again, Anna gives Juan the book, right? She gives him the book in English. They buy Lupe a gift. They buy her a gift. Okay. Again, in those English sentences, there are no to or for, but it's understood in the context of the greater sentence. Okay. All right. Remember, if I go too slow, let me know, or if I go too fast. Okay. So obviously we're not going to underline here, but you all can tell me in the chat. So let's look at the first one. What we want to do is try to find the indirect object. Well, you can do it on your sheet, actually. You can underline the indirect object in each sentence. Okay, so let's try this in Spanish. ¿Quién tiene el libro para Juan? So who has the book for Juan? So what would we underline in the first one? What would be the indirect object? Tell me in chat, or you can unmute. Yes, very good. So we have to make sure, oopsie, we have to make sure, you guys, that we do para Juan. We have to do the whole thing, because when we replace that in the sentence with the word him, okay, we wouldn't keep any part of that. We wouldn't keep para and we wouldn't keep Juan. Okay, so let me back up here. In Spanish, I'm going to stop sharing for just a second. Okay, in Spanish, all right, take a look here. So in Spanish, you guys, our words for to can look a bunch of different ways. Okay, it can look like it can look like la, oops, la, and it can look like al. Okay, so just a reminder, our words for, okay, can look like para, like we just saw in para Juan. Okay, so our words in Spanish for to can be la, it can be al, right? And then we have the plurals, you know, so it could be like a los or a las, right? And our word for Spanish, I mean for is going to be para. Okay, everybody with me here? Yes. Okay, just reminding you. Okay. Okay. I don't know why this is so difficult for me today. It's just a slideshow. that disappeared. Hang on, you guys. Disappeared on me. Okay. All right, bueno, I found it. Okay, so let's keep going. All right, how about this next one? Number 2, with Luisa. Luisa no compra las plumas para mí. What would be the indirect object in this sentence? Luisa no compra las plumas para mí. Luisa is not buying the pens for me. Good, Marlasia. Brooklyn, very good. Jamarian, what's the indirect object in that second bullet point there? The one that starts with Luisa. Good, Brooklyn. Jamarian. What's our clue that we need to look for, you guys? If it's 2 or 4, right? So if it's a form of a or the word para, right? So our indirect object here is going to be para mí, para mí. Okay, so if that's what you were thinking, good job. Up here it was para Juan, here it's para mí. So you can see if this word means 4, okay, then that's one of our clues, right? Okay, let's try this next one. Yo escribo la carta a mis amigos. Okay, so what is the indirect object in yo escribo la carta a mis amigos? Got to have the whole idea, you guys, the whole idea. Malaysia, very good. Malia, how about you? On the third bullet point. Yo escribo la carta a mis amigos. Good, Jamarian. Malia, what do you think? So I write the note to my friends, right? To my friends. So we have our here, okay? So a lot of you guys told me amigos. Some of you told me mis amigos, and that's not incorrect, but this is the whole thing, to my friends, right? Because remember, our clues are these words, para and to. Para for, meaning to. Because when we replace it, right? So we would say, I write the note to them, okay? We're going to get rid of that whole phrase, if you will, okay? So we need to make sure that we identify the whole phrase, okay? All right, let's try one more. Ellos leen el libro a los muchachos. They read the book to the boys. What's the indirect object? Okay, Jamarian. Very good, Brooklyn. Good, Marlasia. Rashad, Malia, how about you? Rashad, good job, Malia. Ellos leen el libro a los muchachos. Yes, muy bien. We have our so that's our clue. And so a los muchachos, right? So this is our direct object. So again, in English, if we were to replace it, they read the book to them because it's plural, right? It's plural. Okay. All right, one more. And just because I want to see how we're going to translate this one. Nosotros lavamos la ropa para ustedes. Okay, nosotros lavamos la ropa para ustedes. So first of all, tell me in the chat, what's the indirect object? Good, Brooklyn. Can anybody tell me also, while we're thinking about it, what does the word ustedes mean? Good, Jamarian. Good, Arshad. What does ustedes mean? Good, Marlasia. Now, would you include la ropa? Wouldn't la ropa be the direct object because it's the thing being washed here, right? So the indirect object would be we wash the clothes. Yeah, Malia, good. For who, you guys? For who? So this is our indirect object, but how would we translate this? And it's important because we need to know which indirect object pronoun to use. Are we going to use it? Are we going to use she? Are we going to use we? Are we going to use they? Right, you guys? So what does ustedes mean? Ustedes. Well, what does usted mean? Yo, tú, usted. What does usted mean? Just pop it in the chat. Even if you're wrong, it doesn't matter. That's what the chat's for. You remember from last year? What does usted mean? Anybody? Or tell me you don't know if you don't, or you're not sure. So what does tú mean, you guys? Tú with the accent mark. Y'all remember that from last year? Yeah, thank you, Malia. So it means you. Tú means you, right? When it has the accent mark. So, but it's informal. Absolutely, Malia. Tú was informal, but usted meant you when you're talking to someone and you need to be formal. So what happens then if usted all of a sudden becomes plural? Then are you talking to one person or are you talking to more than one person? If usted becomes plural, are you talking to one person or are you talking to more than one person for ustedes? Very good. You're talking to more than one person. So all of a sudden that usted, you, in a formal sense, becomes ustedes, you all, right? You all, y'all, however you want to translate it, okay? So in this last sentence, we wash the clothes for you all, okay? We're washing your all's clothes. All right. So we have to keep those things in mind so that we can figure out, you guys, which pronoun to replace with. Okay. All right. Any questions about any of these? Any questions about para or or whatever? And notice, you guys, I'm just going to point this one last thing out here on this slide. Notice that, for example, we have para, and we have para, right? But notice that can be a los, a la, al can be al, okay? But it also can be something like this: to my friends, a mis amigos. So the key here is again, okay? All right, let's go on. Okay, so in your chart, you guys, you should have some blanks, right? In your chart on your notes, give me a thumbs up. Yeah. And so we want to make sure that we fill this in. Now, of course, I am not holding you to this, vosotros. So this one, you do not have to worry about here. Okay, no worries there. Okay, so for the rest of these, you want to make sure that you copy this all in. So if we want to say for me or to me, right, it's the yo form, goes with me. If we want to say for you, I bought the card for you, or I'm giving the card to you, then it's te. right? Le would replace él and ella for him or her, or to him or her. Nos for us or to us would be de nosotros, obviously. And then the ellos and ellas and we're going to add here the ustedes. So if you can on your notes in the text box, type in ellos, ellas, and ustedes. Is going to be replaced by less for them or to them. And so if you remember the verb gustar, these are the same pronouns that gustar used. Me gusta, te gusta, le gusta, nos gusta, les gusta, right? Same pronouns. Okay. All right, how are we doing? All right, you got the blanks filled in. All right, perfect. Okay. All right, let me erase my scratchies. All right, let's go on. All right, so this is also in your guided notes, okay, guys? So we're going to change the following people. So you have in front of you, you should see on your guided notes the chart. And remember that what we're trying to envision is if we have sentences like we started out, right? Like they give the card to Mary. We want to replace to Mary. They give the card to her, right? So that's what we're doing here. So if we were going to say, she gives the card to them, ellos, which pronoun would we use, you guys? What does your chart tell you? It would be less. Okay, here's your S down here, right? You guys, it should be less. L-E-S, because ellos is plural. Everybody see that? Give me a thumbs up. Yes, are you following me? Okay. All right, so for number 2, El Chico. I give the card to the boy. I give the card to him. So what would I use here for number 2? Good, Marlasia. Le. So you guys can see on my screen, if you guys can see my Zoom screen, that my letters are not loading properly. So just try to pay attention to what I say. Number 1 was less, and number 2 is le. Okay. All right. I give the card to us, or he gave the card to us. Nosotros. If I wanted to replace to us, what would it be? Very good, Malia. Nos, right? He gave the card to us, nos, to us. Okay. He gave the card to me. Number 4, he gave the card to me. What would I replace it with? Good, Marlasia. Good, Malia. It would be me, right? Me. My little text boxes are kind of not happening. Tu would get replaced by te, right? Okay. What if it's la chica? I gave the card to the girl. I gave it to her. So it would be the same as ella, right? Ella, and therefore, good Brooklyn, good Malia. Anybody else? If it's Ella, I gave the card to her. Good Marlasia, it would be Le, L-E, right? I gave the card to Juan and Paco, two guys. I gave the card to them, so plural. And so what would it be? Good, Brooklyn. Arshad, how about you? Pop one in there for me. Joe, let me know that you're getting it. Good. I gave the card to them, less. Okay. Number 8 would be the same as La Chica if her name was Elisa. So what about Felipe? I gave the card to him, would be the same as saying L, and therefore, good, Arshad, Le. Anna and I. So they gave the card to me and Anna, or they gave the card to Anna and me. So what would it be? They gave the card to us. Very good, Marlasia. What would it be? Anyone else? They gave the card to us. Good. Nos. Very good. Okay. All right. I'm going to pause. Any questions? Okay. Let me know kind of how you're feeling, you guys, before we go on to the next bit of this. 3, 2, 1. 3, I got it. 2, I just need practice. 1, I'm still confused. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Pop your numbers in. Okay. Muy bien. All right. So, on your sheet, we need to figure out, it's be the next section, where do indirect object pronouns go? Okay. And so you'll see the first bullet point, it'll have a blank in there, we'll fill it in, and then we'll practice with those examples. Okay. And then you guys have a few of your own where you're going to rewrite them and make sure we practice like where they go. Okay. Now, just a side note, these are all like present tense, right? These are all things that are happening now. Where we put them in a sentence is going to change once we start adding things that are like past tense, right? Once we start changing and developing more complicated sentence structures, then where we put them is going to change. So it's real important that you get this as we in the simple sense. Okay. All right. Let me. Okay. All right. So let me share. Okay, so again, we're trying to figure out where these things go in a present tense sentence. Okay, we're almost done, you guys. You're doing a great job. So they go in front of the verb. So they go in front of the verb, which is just like the direct object did, right? So as you guys can kind of figure, next step would be something like figuring out what to do if you have a direct and an indirect object in a sentence and you want to replace them, right? I gave it to her, for example. So which one would come first? If the rule is they always go in front of the verb, but we'll get there, okay? All right, so ¿Quién tiene el libro para Juan? Who has the book for Juan? Okay, well, we know it's going to be L, right? And therefore le. And so where would we put our le, you guys, in this sentence? If we were to rewrite it, where would we put it? Where's the verb? That's what we got to figure out. Where's the verb? What's your guess? Yeah, our verb is tiene, and our rule was it goes in front of, right? Okay. My text is not happening. Okay. Luisa no compra las plumas para mí, right? Our verb is compra, and so our me would go in front. Luisa no me compra. Luisa no me compra is how it should look. Okay. Okay, let's try one more. Yo escribo la carta a mis amigos. And we said earlier, les. So it would be yo les escribo la carta. Because escribo is to write. That's our verb. Yo les escribo la carta. Okay, if it's nosotros here, where would we put our nos, you guys, in this next sentence? In front of what word? They read the book to us. What's our verb? Leen. Very good. So it would be ellos nos leen el libro. Ellos nos leen el libro, right? They read the book to us. Okay. Nosotros lavamos la ropa para ti. We wash the clothes for you. Para ti would get what pronoun, you guys? Para ti. Para ti. What pronoun would we use? Para ti. So ti is a way of saying for you, okay? So in Spanish, instead of saying para tú, they say para ti. And so what would our pronoun be? What's your chart say for tú? Te. Very good. So it would be te. Okay. And oopsie. And so it would be nosotros te lavamos la ropa. We wash the clothes for you. Okay. So tú and ti and te all go together. Tú and ti and te, right? Whenever you see those, just know it has to do with tú. Okay, any questions here? Yes, it will be, Brooklyn, always at the end of class. Yes. Okay. Okay. So now this is in your notes. This is what for you to do. Okay. So you are going to rewrite each sentence, changing the indirect object to its pronoun and put it in its correct spot in the sentence. So we said it goes in front of the verb, right? So we'll do the first one together. Ellos compran el billete para mí. Okay, so first of all, what's the verb, you guys? I'll help you with this first one. What's the verb? Okay, good. So here's our verb, compran. And then we are working with indirect objects. And so here's our clue, para mí. So how would I replace para mí? What pronoun, what indirect object pronoun would I use for para mí? Jo Marion, I'd like to hear from you and Malia. Which indirect object pronoun would I use to replace para mí? Yeah, it would be me, right? Okay, so remember we're replacing. So this goes away because it's replaced by me. And our me, you guys, goes in front of the verb. Ellos me compran el billete. They are buying me the ticket, or they are buying the ticket for me. Does that make sense to everyone? See or no? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. So I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to watch it on Go Guardian. So if you have a question, I can help you specifically. If you can't figure out what's the verb, if you can't figure out what's the indirect object or whatever, just pop it in the chat. And then I think then you guys would be ready to submit, right? I really wish this slideshow worked better. Rashad, are you done? And you guys, before you submit, if there's one that you want me to look at and double check, I'll be more than happy to do it. Yeah, Brooklyn, for whatever reason, I'm not seeing your screen, so if you had a question, just FYI. It looks like some of you are finishing up. If before you submit it, if you want me to take a look at it again, I will be happy to do. Yep. All right, let's see. Just the last section, Marlasia? Okay. Yay, perfect. Yay, go ahead and submit. And then you can chill a minute while we wait for everyone else. Okay, anyone else want me to check it out before you submit it? So I just posted, you guys, listen carefully. I just posted the slides in the module and in the resource library, the explanation and the visual. Okay. So if you don't want to scroll up and down all the time, you can open a new tab for those. And we'll work for another couple of minutes. And then we'll switch gears, you guys. Try not to rely too much on outside resources so that you are thinking you are solving the problem yourself. Okay. I'm sitting here, I can check it for you. The idea is for you to solve that problem yourself, right? They're like word problems. And that's the only way to really understand if something is working or how something works, I should say. Again, if you guys want me to look at something before you submit it, just let me know. All right. Malia, did you get yours turned in? Yeah, perfect. Joe, let's see how you're doing. Perfect. Joe Marion. Perfect. So make sure you submit it. Good job. All right, Brooklyn, I can't see yours, so. Joe, let me know when you've submitted yours, please. Okay, one more minute, you guys, and then we have to switch gears, okay? For the last 10. So make sure, Joe, did you submit? Okay, perfect. Okay, so at 9:30, you guys, you can just hang on to that a little bit and then come back to me, and then you'll have your free time, okay? Arshad, are you still playing chauffeur? Okay, guys, it's 9:30. So can I get your attention, you guys, back in Zoom, please? For a second, just kind of hold off on what you're doing. Okay. Malia, are you with me? Because I can't see you anymore. Yes, Malia? All right, perfect. Okay, so it is Hispanic Heritage Month, right? Until the 15th of October. And I would like for us to do a short sort of, not a project, more like an activity to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. Okay. So if you guys give me 1 second, I'm going to change my view and I'll kind of guide you through what it is I would like for you to do. I'm going to share my screen as well. Okay, so give me a thumbs up if y'all are checking out my screen and you're willing to listen for instructions. Malia, Arshad, Joe Marion, Brooklyn. Yeah, let me know. Okay, because I don't want you not to know what's going on. Okay, so there is in your canvas a project called Notable Afro-Latinos. And if you can see my Zoom screen, I put in your instructions and a template, some questions, and some links. Now, when it comes to the links and stuff, I don't know what's going to be blocked or not. So you guys will just have to use what is available. Those are just suggestions. Okay. But let's look at the instructions real fast. Okay. Okay. So what you're going to do is you are going to choose a notable person who identifies as Afro-Latino. So there are some suggestions, right? You guys don't have to use those, but pick someone who identifies as Afro-Latino. Okay. And if you can find someone other than a celebrity, that would just be so refreshing, right? Like if you can find a scientist or I don't know, somebody else, an author or something, right? Other than an actor or a singer, that would be great. But if you can't, I get it. Okay. You are going to make a copy of the Google slide template that's in the module. And you will complete each slide based on the prompts. So here in a second, I'm gonna try to show you. You're gonna click on the slideshow. It'll say what each slide should contain. What should the content be? Now you guys can make it as pretty as you want. You guys can include any information that you want after you have made sure that you have the content that is asked for specifically. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes? Okay. Be sure to replace the prompts, right? So you're going to back out of this. Don't keep that text on the slide, right? Once you have your information should replace those prompts on the slide. And then by all means, any backgrounds, images, videos, podcasts, I don't know, whatever you think is interesting. Okay. Because I think a lot of times we talk about what is the Latino community or what is the Hispanic community, but we have to remember that within that big umbrella of community are specific groups of people. And so this is one specific group, right? Like those people who identify as Afro-Latino. Okay. All right. Any questions about what it is I'm asking you to do? All right. So I'm going to click next. And what you should see here, you guys, is, oops. You're going to click here. It should ask you to make a copy. You're going to make a copy. So this is just a blank template. Put in your background, put in your pictures, put in your videos, put in your text, whatever, right? So on the first slide, for example, who is it you're going to tell me about? Make sure you give me your name, right? In the next one, you can put a title here, some video, some images. Tell me something like where are they from? What's their real name? Did something about their young life, like a bio, some kind of bio information, biographical information. You can add as many slides as you need. However, please do not copy and paste. If you quickly, just put it in your own words, right? What is one thing people should remember about this person? In other words, what makes them notable? Why do we even know who these people are? Right? What have they accomplished that we should care? Okay. Tell me what is something important about this person or their contribution or whatever. Okay. If you can find a quote from them, that's fine. If you find out that they donate $1 bajillion to charities every year, that's fine, whatever. Okay. You can add anything else that you think is cool, something that you found interesting. That's the whole point here, right? Telling me, why is this person notable? What is so interesting about this human being? And the last slide should always have your source links, right? So make sure that you copy and paste your source links into the last slide. You want to make sure that all of your slides have a background that's not white and legible font, because I know sometimes we get to making some crazy backgrounds and stuff like that, and I can't read it. Okay. All right. Any questions about that? Okay. So you should be able to make a copy of that, right? If you have trouble. Okay. Now let me explain this one last thing to you. I would personally do this first. Okay. I would do this first. You have a podcast you can listen to. If this is blocked, you can try this link. So please don't message me and tell me I can't open the podcast. Okay. And if you can't hear it, that's okay. Right? All you have to do is read the article. It's not that long. It's not difficult to read. Okay. When after you have listened to that, okay, then there are some reflection questions. So think about the experiences mentioned. What is one thing they talked about that you thought was important and why that was? Okay. Was there anything here that you could relate to and explain why or why not? Right? Just some basic reflection questions. Okay. Then you're going to submit those, right? And let's see. And then the next thing in the Canvas should be some links that you can explore. Again, I don't know if they're going to be blocked or what. If those don't work for you, then find your own. But for example, like this first one should give us an idea of some Afro-Latinos who made some important contributions. If you don't like any of those people, if they don't interest you, then find your own, okay? But you do have some resources there, again, assuming it's not blocked for you, okay? All right, any questions about our little project for Hispanic Heritage Month? Make sure that you refresh your screen so that you know you have everything you need there. And then we have about a minute left, or no, that's our time. So make sure that sometime that you turn in your study guide today, your practice notes and stuff. Okay. All right. Preguntas. You guys did a great job today. We accomplished a lot. Okay. Reach out to me if you have any questions, you guys. Remember that any missing assignments also are done by the end of the day, Friday. Now, that does not include the Afro-Latino project. I'm talking about all the previous assignments, right, for this first 9-week quarter, okay? So anything that is missing, late, whatever, those are all due by the end of the day on Friday. All right, you guys? Questions? But you guys have done a really good job keeping up. Don't forget VHL stuff as well, okay? All right. Enjoy your weekend. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Remember to just make sure in VHL and everything that you have everything turned in no later than Friday at the end of the day. Okay? All right. Adios a todos. Have a great one. Adios. Thank you, guys.